got the thing jacked up. What we're going to do is we're going to take this off. I might have to take the wheel off, I'm not sure yet, but we're going to undo this nut. I already started this, but I'm going to take this apart, and we're going to try to get a little bit more travel out of that. All right, so we got that off. That's going to come off. That there. This is going to come off. And we got new springs coming. These are 250s. They're too stiff. So what we're going to do is, you can see where that rides. So we're going to make this we're going to cut this in half. And we're going to cut this in half so I have a little bit more bump steer, a little bit more bump. All right, so this is, we're going to use that much of it up to this line. So we're going to get rid of that. And then we're going to make some spacers. A nice spacer that goes right under here. The thickness of that plus another quarter. All right, so this is the plate I'm going to use. We're going to make spacers that size. And then once I trim this back, so between this trimmed back and the plate, the spacer, I'll have about 1 inch more travel, which it doesn't sound like a lot, but it does make a big difference. Okay, front and back of the track. So that's what I need. I need a little bit more there. We're good to go. So I'm going to cut that, and then I'll show you when we put it in. We got new springs coming. So the springs that are in there now are 250s. I got 200s coming. So I'll be able to turn. Right now the spring is all the way at the bottom of the adjuster, and it still won't let the car drop down anymore. So I need to drop it down that 1 more inch. So it should be perfect. If not, then I'm going to have to find softer springs, but I think that's going to work out perfect. All right, so basically I'm going to use this hole saw. I'm just going to make a hole right in it, and it'll already have a pilot hole and everything. So that going there. So I got these cut with the hole saw. Now I'm going to make a hole in them the size of the washer for the spacer. All right, cut that down. Spacer made up. We're good to go. Waiting on the spring. Should be here later today. We can put it back together and then see how much we got. All right, well, FedEx just showed up. Check these things out. So we got a set of AFCOs. They even come in their own little sack. Well, you just send them in a box and make them cheaper. But, okay. Like, what are you going to do with that now? But, okay. So that's the new one. And we'll see. So these are supposed to be 200. Okie doke. Let's try putting them in. All right, there we go. Now I have just enough play to make it go down the road. And if I want, I could turn this up. So now I can actually turn this back up, but I'm going to measure it. Right now, I'm at the same height as I was when I started, but I have that and whatever this compressed, which this compressed another 1/2 inch more than the other one. So we're good. Got plenty now. So we're at the same ride height, but we got more extension. All right, let me go do the other side. All right, all done. So that's it for the front. We're good to go now. I jumped on the front. It actually has a little bit of play now, where before it was stiff as a board. So we good with that now. Put all this crap away. That's all done. I need to look at the back. Tires are coming. I found a set of D05s from a guy out in Oklahoma. So those should be coming probably right after Christmas. So we'll get them on here, and then I'm going to check the rear suspension. I'm going to get it up on the lift now. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to fix that little clutch issue. I'm going to take up the slack on the clutch and move the bearing up a little bit so that that's all done. Won't have that problem anymore. Now I got to keep that in mind when I do this, so we'll find out when I take it up, and then I'll show you underneath what I'm talking about with that. All right, well, I'm gonna take all this down. And get this clutch adjusted. So there was a lot of speculation down there about one of the guys. We left before that, but the guy crossed the line or something. But when they were doing the rules, when the guy was setting the rules up, usually you can't cross the center line. They usually don't care about what you do on the outside. But this guy made a rule that you couldn't cross that line that's next to the wall. It's probably about, I want to say like 4 feet or so from the wall, maybe. Not crazy far. I probably 4 feet from the wall. So I guess he crossed that. So there's a whole bunch of crap going on the internet because of that. All right, so I got to take these bolts out. Let me go get the tool out of the trailer. So take this cover off. So it looks like Capital Dragway is going to be putting on a no prep deal. They start like in the middle of the track and go towards the end, which makes sense. What they were doing was they were going to go from the back of the track going towards the front, but what happens is where the track is prepped. So when the track is prepped, right, it's sticky. But if you get a little dew or anything on it, it becomes like an ice skating rink. It's literally slipperier than if it didn't have anything on it. So I think Josh showed you something like that when we were in Georgia. We were showing you that he was going down with the golf cart race, and when you get down the end, all they were doing was basically they were just touching the brakes, and the things were sliding around all over the place. So, all right, let me get the camera. I'll show you what it looks like in here. All right, so if you look up in there, that red, that's the hydraulic throwout bearing. It's threaded. So when you push on it, it only has so much room to go. Okay, so that thing only moves a certain amount of. So what I made is I made this tool that slides up in there, and I can turn it, right? What I do is I turn those threads, because that's like a sleeve, and then that'll move that bearing in or out wherever we want it. So now the clutch disc, I'm going to put the little dial on here and I'll show you. That needs to go in, right? So this whole thing moves in another 10 thousandths closer, and it brings all that in closer, everything goes in. Well, that's still in the same spot. I already took up 20 thousandths. Now it's going to take up another 10, or I think I took 30 out of this already, so it's going to take another 10 out of it. But what happens is once that thing expands, and then it can't push on the fingers to release the clutch, to release it, okay? It's always in, but it won't release it in time. So the other thing, you start thinking about it, I kind of noticed that after I do the burnout and pull up to put it in reverse, okay, what happens is when you step on that, obviously the clutch disc is free. So, and I noticed I had to like wait a while to let it stop spinning because it was trying to still spin because it was actually trying to engage it, even though the clutch was stepped in, so the reverse would grind a little bit. So I'm gonna readjust all my base, and then I'm gonna go in there and measure that. Have Josh go up and step on the clutch, make sure it engages the micro switch, measure my distance between here and here, and I'll know how much I can move this in. It's probably going to just go in like maybe a turn, so one thread, okay, if that. But you only got so much to play with, so that's what happens. All right, so when you put this gauge in there, right, this is set for 720 would be 0, just like that. So when you put it in here, right, you set that down in there. Once it sits flat, like so. Let me do it with my other hand. So once this sits in here flush, right, like that, and then you could see, yeah. So it's 10 thousandths out. Okay, so we're going to take up that 10 thousandths by loosening this. This goes in, so that these little holes turn this stand. It's probably only going to turn that much. So from there to there, and then when we're done with that, got to make up all your own little tools to work with all this stuff. Right, so, and then this fits up in there to make sure I got enough clearance. This has to fit up in there, and I got to make sure I got enough clearance between that bearing and the base of the hydraulic release part. So then I know I got enough. When you step on the clutch, you got enough of the fingers going in. And then take a feeler gauge, and you need about 60 to 70 thousandths air gap on the actual clutch disc. So we're going to make sure all that's all set. That's about the only thing we're going to be doing in there. So we're going to go through all that all over again. Start with basically, once that's all done, we call it back to 0. So we're good with that. So that's what I'm going to do now.
All right, we just got the tires showed up.
UPS showed up. The Ups van came through.
We only ordered them 2 days ago.
2 days ago. When you don't need something, you guys.
That's all right, though, because we're going to use them now for next weekend.
Well, no, I know, but he told me they were going to come until
next week.
Thursday or Friday. All right, so we got our tires. These are the new Hoosier. That's the tire. Really soft compound. Okay? So we're good to go with that. Now we can And if you look, nice 90 and a half, 90 and a half. Okay, so we got a nice match set. So we can put these in there. I'm gonna put the car on this lift in here. They're using it right now. They got Jimmy's car in there, but we'll move the car over, swap the tires out. So the tires will be all ready to go. And we got these from Barron Racing out of Missouri. So if you need a set, I think he had a couple of sets in stock. I know we got a set and Tommy got a set. So I don't know if he might have 1 or 2 more. But by the time you see this video, I don't know if he's even going to have them left. We tried getting the Mickey Thompson ones. He didn't have any of those in stock. It's like nobody has these or the Mickey Thompson L4 compound. They're like impossible to get right now. So the Mickey Thompsons are really newer. These have been out for a little while, but we're going to give them a try. All right, so we'll use these for like no prep stuff and then put the other tires on it for regular prepped stuff. Okay? Alright, okie dokie, we are gonna make some changes to the back of this thing. So, got a new set of rear springs. Why don't you let it down and we'll unhook it on the ground and then raise it up, it'd be easier.
It don't matter, it'll come right off.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll take all that apart and
It don't matter.
get this thing situated. We're going to swap the tires over. We got new tires. And get ready to go to the track on Monday.
So, take these off now.
Yep. All right, so we got the springs off. And we just realized something. So instead of trying to move the wishbone to the top, which moving it to the top would make it nice because then it's out of the way. But then I got to take all this apart and make a new bracket. So we're not using these bottom holes. Probably never going to use the bottom hole. So we can move the wishbone to this bottom hole. Right? We can move that to there. And then this bar will be able to go up and down. I believe we should be good that way, because right now, like, even it's fully extended and it's not hitting anything, right? But the problem was if we put this bar up with the wishbone, then it would touch. See it? So we're going to put the wishbone down to the other hole, but leave the bar angle the way it is for now, but we could move it if we need to then after. All right, so we're going to move that down, get another couple of bolts, put a little spacer in there so it don't move around. All right, so I'm going to make this change back here with this setup. Josh is swapping springs over. Got some nice chromium springs.
Shiny. Well,
shiny.
Really what we're doing is they're 14 instead of 12.
They're 14 instead of 12. Same 80 rate, so.
So if anybody wants springs,
we're gonna swap out.
We got a set
We're going to
of
swap out the tires too.
12-inch 80s. And a set of front ones.
Yep, 250s in the front.
Those are
250. 8-inch 250.
8-inch ones.
All right. Get them all torqued down. I'm going to go pick up some bolts. Go to the hardware store, get some grade 8 bolts for the wishbone, and we're good.
In the other trailer.
What do you want? All right, tires are mounted. Got the wishbone moved. I think this is gonna work out pretty good. And then I don't have to worry about mounting it on the top. Which, if it was on the top, obviously it'd be a lot easier to get the rear out and everything else. But at least it's not in my way if we gotta make a 4-link change now. Makes life a lot easier. So I'm gonna put these wheels, I'm gonna balance these tires real quick. Put them back on. Get all the shocks back in place. Josh changed the springs over. We got them all set. We'll set the ride height again and we're good to go. Alright, so tires balanced out good. A lot better than when they got tubes in them for sure. So nice and round, no wobble, anything, nothing crazy. So they run true when they're on the machine, they spin nice. Got everything back together. I lubed up all the heim joints on the 4-link, make sure they're good. Make sure nothing's binding, everything else looks good. So now that's what the 4-link looks like. So 4-link looks like that with the bar down. I can let the thing all the way down now in that position, and I was able to put the tires on without taking the tire, without taking the air out of the tire this time. That's not usually how it goes. So got everything tightened up, went over everything twice. We're gonna let it down, set the ride height again, and we're done. Good to go. All right, got everything all packed together. Got the limiter straps in there. The brackets are in there, so the rear don't move. All right, all set. Come and see us at Capitol Dragway. By the time you see this video, it'll probably be tomorrow. So, New Year's Day, Capitol Dragway, no prep. Here we go. Come and check it out.